Good morning. How is everybody today? It's Monday, and it is the Monday after most people have celebrated a weekend of family and friends and food and maybe watched some movies, played some board games, had some fun with people that you connect with. I had a magnificently quiet, uneventful weekend. I did some pet sitting with a beautiful kitty cat. It was wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. I got to go dancing. I wasn't overly impressed with the band, but I did get to go dancing a little bit. I got to connect with old friends. Yeah, it was a really good weekend. So today, and I've been working on a little bit of shadow work stuff, which I knew was going to come up this Samhain season because I had set some intentions with Samhain, and this Samhain season very much wanting to focus on my book and getting my business going. And I haven't had any clients the last week, and I have none scheduled this week. So I'm taking advantage of the time. At the same time that I'm getting nervous, I am sitting with my feelings and really sitting with things that I can do in the coming year. And one of the cool things that bubbled up last week was something that I've been struggling with my book and my material, is this sense of fear that I have. And I won't go into the details of that, but I was sitting here this morning and I was doing my morning meditation and my breath work. And I have always been very connected to Mother Earth's creatures, all of her speakers. And when I drew this card this morning, I cried a little bit. I didn't even look up what the book said. I was just, I pulled the card and I cried. I actually have like the last couple cards of the deck, and I turned them out, and this was the first card that came up, and I thought, well, that may not actually be the card. So I shuffled them and then still pulled this card. And then I cried. And the card is Anka, Kin of the Red Hawk Tribe. Now, the red-tailed hawk is one of my helpers. This animal really came into my life when I was a teenager. I went through a couple years where raptors were really, really important in my life. I would say from the time I was about 11, about 11 to in my 20s. And not just one raptor, many raptors, many different kinds of raptors. And so I knew pulling this card would trigger some things, and good things, but trigger some things. And so I cried a little bit, and I sat with it, and then I read the book, and I was like, oh, okay, here we go. This is a reaffirmation of the direction I'm going with some things in my writing and how I'm teaching. And I know that not everybody gets this stuff, right? And that's okay. That's 100% okay. So I'll just read what I wrote. The red-tailed hawk is often a symbol of divine messages. Completely true. Learning to discern divine messages, trusting yourself and your destiny. Learning to trust the timing and fearlessness going forward into your life. No path is better than another one. No one is better or higher or more advanced than anybody else. No one is higher than anyone else in their enlightened journey. Learning humility and grace are all part of that awareness. Yes, to someone else, it might seem like one is further ahead than another, but that's human ego. And that's human ego's failing. We have confidence and assurance with grace and humility. Some souls are here for special purposes, to heal, to teach, to show, yet they do not feel this makes them superior or better than someone else, because they have reached that place of peace, knowing and assuring that they are here to serve. The red-tailed feathers of a hawk only emerge at maturation, and this symbolizes the color of ground, earth, belonging, red, like your red chakra, and the collective consciousness that we create for one another. We are all a part of a community. We need to reimagine our world. Not part of a consumerism of things, but self and each other and our community, time and purpose. This is medicine. The medicine of the red-tailed hawk brought from those special souls who are here to guide us back to our ancestors, back to the medicine of the body, mind, and spirit. Hawk is the symbol of channeling wisdom of the earth and the heavens to be in harmony with the universe. Each hawk has its own unique markings. Just like each of us are unique and a part of our human tribe here in this manifestation, our job is to recognize no matter what the human manifestation, but recognize the unique spirit origins no matter how far flung in the universe they come. To embrace your connection and learn to follow the energies of healing from your family, friends, community, and ancestral ties. You will outgrow the old and come into an authentic you. And the reason this made me cry after I read this, so that you understand, is I went through an awful time. I've known my whole life things. And my whole life, up until just a couple years ago, I had like the first real, I don't know how to phrase it, but I've always known that this is my work, always. But I always, for some reason, got stuck in this place that I thought I had to have a real job. I had to do what everybody else did to do this, right? And I knew that was going to have to change, but I didn't know how to make it change. I didn't know what the timing was. I didn't know how it was going to manifest. And I still don't know all the ins and outs, right? But for the most part, I've given trust to the universe, and I'm working on me. I'm really, really sitting with that child, that child that needs to cry, and that child that needs to grieve that she was not heard and she was not validated by her world. And the red-tailed hawk came into my life pretty much at puberty, in that time when, and I worked with teenagers for years, and I will tell you, being a teenager is awful. I would never go back to that. But I also understand how teenagers think. I understand where it comes from. I understand that their brain is going through these huge chemical changes. And mine did. And my world turned upside down because I knew at a visceral level that the life I was living was not authentic to who I was. And I made several promises to myself as a very young teenager, watching the hawks and rediscovering my energetic rituals before I even really knew about paganism or Wiccanism or alternative spirituality, before I really had dove into all of that research of ancestral knowledge and medicine. And I knew that my world would have to be different than everybody around me for decades. I knew it. And one of the promises that I made to myself is that I would always have to work a job or something that fed my soul. And that led me to have some amazing experiences because I've always had to work, but I tried really hard to make sure that the jobs that I had fed my soul in some way, taught me something. And even when it was an awful outcome, I learned something. It was very important for me from a very early age that experiences taught me something to get me where I was going. Even if I wasn't really sure what that was going to look like in the end, I knew that it had to do with my journey to be here for other people. I know that underneath my need to create is to give. I know that my need to teach is to give. I know that daily devotions for me is for others. I do very little in my world that is 100% selfish. One of my few things is my acrylic nails, right? Because I found one thing that I like that I can do for myself. But most of what I do is for others. And I know that. And there are times when red-tailed hawk medicine circles back around and makes me focus on myself so that I can be in the place to help other people. So I like that, and I've said it for years, is that every single person has to come to that place where they recognize that no one is better than someone else. I think that's also been one of the big drives for daily devotions, is that I am on this journey as much as everybody else around me is on this journey. And I want to show that it's tough and it's hard, but you can have those moments of awakening. You can have those moments of connection and feeling of peace and blessing and grace and humility and joy and love, and all those emotions can be a beautiful thing. But yeah, you cry some tears, and it's tough and it's hard. And this year has been, the last 3 years have been one hell of a roller coaster, all to bring me to a place where I can be doing the work for others that I know I need to be doing, and getting that material ready to be able to teach more and share more and support more and get those community connections going. There's just so much to it. And also recognizing that I've got time. It doesn't have to all be right now. Time is a ball of yarn the cat got hold of. Time is not linear. Time is multifaceted and multi-layered, very much like a crystal growing inside of a crystal. If you think of those amazing quartz crystals that have the crystals inside of them, that is very much what time is. And in all of those layers, there's whole worlds and whole manifestations that we have the ability to be aware of if we trust it. Anyway, I found that this particular card this morning was very triggering, but I don't think of the word triggering as bad. Again, shadow work is not bad. It is a place to grow within yourself. Somebody asked a question on Facebook this weekend about, I don't understand what shadow work is. What is shadow work? And there were like 400 comment responses by the time I saw the post, and I went, I'm not diving into that. But I did read pretty much most of the responses, and I adopted the use of the word shadow work back in the late 90s, early 2000s, when I found a book that was about shadow magic, right? And I recognized, I was taking a psychology class at the time, and I very much recognized it as working through your trauma, working through the layers of our human manifestation and where we get these things and where our fear comes from and where our angst and worry and anxiety all come from. And I've had some pretty traumatic experiences in my life, pretty awful traumatic experiences in my life that I've come through with. I don't like to use the word resilience, but resilience in the sense of each one of those experiences forced me to come back to that place of peace within myself and sit with that place of peace enough to see the clarity of the shadow, the clarity of what the lesson was, and carry that forward. And not all at once, many layers of that. And there are layers within the psyche and different parts of your psyche, and shadow work doesn't stop in your life, your entire life. It will never stop. You will never complete that, because we plan out our blueprints so that we can process and work through or use that knowledge in layering. And our physiological and our spiritual selves connect more through that process. And I don't know how to phrase what I'm looking for, but the red-tailed hawk is a symbol of the divine message, right? So that animal connection, that energy of the hawk and the maturation of the hawk connecting to ground and belonging is the connection between higher self and physical body, and really connecting through to your entire blueprint and what your purpose is. And some people's purpose is for others, and some people's purpose is for self, and some people's purpose is for self and others, and there's so many layers between that. My daily devotional from the Celtic book was, what threshold of attainment awaits for you to cross over? I know what my threshold is. I know what I'm working on. And I know that it's going to be painful, and I know that it's going to be joyful, and I know that it's going to break through that lingering barrier between me and tomorrow and the next step. And I pray for that for each and every person. I genuinely want everyone to come into their own. And Be part of the kin, the tribe of the red-tailed hawk. Come into yourself. Live authentically. Have confidence, assurance, grace, and humility in all the things that you do. And you won't right away. And that's okay too. Crying and tears and laughter and joy, they're all part of the journey, and they're all beautiful and valid. So I wish you a beautiful day today. I'm going to work on business stuff this morning and maybe hang out with some friends later. Have a beautiful day. Have a beautiful, blessed day. And I will see you tomorrow in prayer. Blessed be.